Good morning. I'm Graham Treacle, a co-founder of One Donation, and we work with companies that want to improve their employee engagement or corporate social responsibility. We do this by allowing employees to give to 1.5 million nonprofits in our database, and we do this because we solve a couple problems. Firstly, employee engagement is about a $500 billion problem that we as Americans face every year. The costs are they're easy to track, from low productivity, people getting hurt on the job. To that extent, and companies are spending about $1.5 billion last year on employee engagement, and it's raising about 30% year over year. Additionally, corporate social responsibility is a very big buzzword right now, and brands are really having to focus on their corporate footprint socially, and they're commanding a price premium. You can think of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, or some of these other brands that are promoting, hey, that they're not impacting the environment negatively. It's really important to note before I get into what we're talking about right now is we're getting pretty substantial traction. And we're just building out our story about how all this works. Just this last week, and right now in my inbox, we got an engagement with TriNet that's starting, where we're going to roll out and be able to have access to their 12,000 businesses that are using their system. We've also started doing some stuff with ADP to get in their marketplace. They have about over 20% of the overall payroll market right now. So we're really clarifying our value proposition and how we're working with companies, and quantifying how companies, when they do the spend and work with us, how we can attach it to their bottom line and show that they're actually making money. There's different reasons why we are a benefit to companies. Firstly is we're a multi-channel platform. As you can see, we can integrate seamlessly with different payroll companies. So really it's a matter of security and vetting at this time to do this integration. We know we're not going to get with every one, but that's not what we're trying to do right now. We're wanting to go a mile deep with where we're at. We're an open marketplace. The Gallup poll, for instance, recently cites that there's about a 70% increase when a company opens up their donation space. So you can think like United Way. It's great, but when they say, hey, employees, you can give to anyone you want to, there's a 70% increase. So these are data points that employers really cannot turn away from. So we're an open marketplace, and then we're a triple benefit. So there's three distinct groups that benefit with our solution. Firstly is the business. They get to engage their employees. They get to improve their corporate social responsibility footprint, means get brand premium. Employees benefit because you get to give to causes that you care about anyway. A lot of us like giving reoccurring, and millennials being one of the larger parts of our marketplace, they really like being able to pivot, give to one nonprofit this time, to set it and forget it, to work together as teams. We allow companies to engage these types of employees to do this. So we benefit the employee, but we also benefit the nonprofit. So you probably all here, more than likely, have volunteered or work at a nonprofit. And one of the things nonprofits need is they want that reoccurring revenue to come in so they can do what they're doing. We're working with a conservancy project right now that's saving a lot of green space, right? And one of the things that's fascinating about them is they have to be around to do the deals that come their way when they come their way. So me, as an environmentally conscious person, it's a good idea for me to give these ecosystem professionals that know what they're doing $20 a month so that they can do their job to provide some clean spaces. Our competitors, it's a fairly competitive market space. Some would say it's crowded, but really, they're very different than we are. We have a completely different go-to-market strategy. One of the reasons is we started out as a B2C play. It was a flawed go-to-market strategy, but it was not a flawed way at looking at how donations need to work. So our competitors lack flexibility. They lack transparency. Right now, we're currently working on a blockchain initiative, and we have the sandbox built. So when we tell you your donation is going to XYZ nonprofit, we can verify it. You can look at it. The employer can look at it. Again, that increases engagement. You can think of where you work at today that happens. I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, I'm going long. Our platform is up and going. We have done-for-you campaigns. We have a pretty simple pricing model, which is 50 cents per transaction. or we pay based on how many employees a business has so that we can manage that billing. I have an awesome team. I'm really sorry I went long. I wasn't paying much attention. We expect to do a lot of growth in the fourth quarter of this year as we implement with our 4 channel partners. I'd love to chat with anyone here that wants to be a part of our team. We're growing fast, and I need really smart people to help me out. Thank you.
Would you connect the dot for me between an employee donating and them being more engaged?
Right, so I'll go to a hiring practice. So if you're a growing company and you're looking to retain some engineers, and a lot of them are millennials, this is just an example, you can now say, hey, we support the Brown Bag Initiative, and they feed the homeless, and we're going to match your donation. So now you can say, corporately, we give this much money. We give you the ability to give to these causes you care about. So we kind of match it to what the employer needs. It's a very custom story for the employer to build. Did that answer your question?
Sort of. Do you have a case study where
Right.
you've shown higher engagement or
We're building case studies. So part of us, what we're need to do right now, so we have 3 companies that we're actively working with in the payroll space. So right now we're building our internal case studies. So one that's going to happen here in the next couple of months where we'll have real-time data is that they have less than a 20% participation rate across the board, and they were willing to do a matching program. So we're in the process of implementing, so soon we'll have that data. We have other data sets that aren't our own, but to roll out effectively to these other companies, that's what we have to build as our own data sets. So we know these things work because there's other companies in the space, so we can use generalized data, but we don't have our own data sets.
So there are case studies, they're just not your customers.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So I want to echo back. So meaning that if I roll out something like this, my employees, and I give them several nonprofits to donate to, I'm matching, that's going to help my engagement because they feel like we're supporting what they're interested in. Is that
Absolutely.
correct?
So what we would do in a company like that would say, we firstly look at what your corporate objectives are and where your social footprint is. So you as a business owner, you may say, I want to give to Habitat for Humanity in my community. I want people to give to any place that they want to. So their church, their synagogue, their mosque, I don't care. I'm going to match it if they want to do it. However, your employees and you want to mesh, we can make that happen. And that's why your employees get engaged, because they see you willing to hey, these are the causes we support as a business, but I can also help you support causes you care about. I can make it anonymous so that you don't know who they're giving to.
Right.
We can do all kinds of cool stuff to get your employees excited about it. And hourly wage type workers, so you can think of restaurants, for instance, typically workers, they do not leave for much higher wages. So even in case studies for things like this, when an employer can match donations that they're making, it's a great incentive not to leave, because my $200 a month is now going to my whatever.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And there's data behind it.
Yes, thank you.
I love the space. It's a really cool thing you're doing. So thank you for doing this. I'm a little confused on the actual product. The service makes sense, but is it something that an employee just sets and it goes away with my paycheck? Is there an interface? Do you guys have a browser? What does the product?
Yeah, that's what I had to fly through.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry about that. So yeah, we have a product. So it can interface. What we're doing with the 3 companies earlier is now we're building the interface. So part of getting into the ADP marketplace for us is right now it's a manual process for ADP payroll, meaning we have to upload a file. When we get into the marketplace, it'll be more of a tie-in to their actual solution. So if your company uses ADP, you would be able to log in and it'd be right there. So our interface right now stands alone on the web. And it's very simple, it's secure, it works, everything's fully functional. But we prefer to integrate directly to a payroll solution so that it's a single sign-on for a user to do anything. And we do the email receipts, they get a receipt on the W-2 at the end of the year. They can log on, they can track their donations, they can change donations, they can make it for 5 pay periods, 10 pay periods, whatever they want to do.
Is there any kind of collective feedback so that I could say, hey, as a member of this company, we've given this much, or my team is giving to these?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
does that look like?
We have a dashboard for employers as well, so it's completely customizable. Like we can do as much with the data as we want. So we can give it to the employer as a CSV file. So they may be using some suite that gives them their own pretty charts and graphs. We have that dashboard, and we give them about 10 different reports right now. So month over month, employee engagement rate, charities that are getting the most donations, total donations to charities. So we do that now, but we can more than likely they can use our dashboard, but more than likely they're going to want it as a CSV or an API integration so they can put it in their own reporting system. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Yes.
So I would just say two things. I had both of those same questions, so it might be good to sort of work a little bit more on those slides to get that clear, especially the first one. I didn't catch the engagement at all, but
Right.
then when you got it to like, okay, I can donate to my church, then that sort of made the connection a little bit. So maybe drill down a little bit.
So
on
for
this.
you, so clarifying, no, that's great feedback for all of you. So for you, like on the dashboards, you may have 3 different dashboards, go through them very quickly, not as fast as I did here, but go through them pretty quickly, but say, hey, this is how this looks, this is how this.
But even just to connect the dot, like you start with this thing about employee engagement, and right off the bat, I was just confused, right? I'm like, why
Okay.
does this help engagement just because I can give to some charity, right? Like,
Right.
As an employee, I was confused, and then the same thing with, okay, ADP, what are you doing here?
So make this.
So, okay, we're built, this is what we might need money for too. We want to work with ADP, we want to make it single sign-on,
Right.
mention, and then say like, okay, right in there, presumably I can, set my W-9 withdrawals and I can change my donations, presumably,
Okay.
right, is what you're looking for, right?
Absolutely.
So that would be great, and then if you connect that down, like, okay, now I see the value starting to build. Whereas in the slides as you went, I didn't see that. But it's
No
great.
problem.
Where you're going with your company is great. I love it.
Well, but we have to communicate with this part well too. So no, your point's well taken. So I can move that for sure. And that's good feedback. We have another practice today and been moving some slides around. So for us, the competition was what I moved today earlier. No, excuse me, the traction, because it's some pretty cool traction to grab attention, and it really I got to work that in a whole bunch better.
Yeah.
So did you like that at the beginning though, or would you put that at the end, or not, or indifferent?
What do you mean, the engagement part? Or?
No, excuse me, the traction when we talk about trying at ADP and paychecks. Working with them.
I mean, obviously you mentioned the names, and then obviously,
So you're fine at the end, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're trying to build your story, and that's however you want to build your story. So that's good.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And it might change depending on how you do change those slides. I mean, the employee engagement, the billions of dollars being spent, I think that's big.
I think you
So-
understanding the problem and the solution is more important in this setting than my traction.
Maybe, and I'm an engineer, so I might be thinking of the details and the weeds.
You're fine.
My next question is going to make it even worse, right?
You've
So-
never seen it before, so no. I mean, all 3 of you, so
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So you mentioned blockchain really quickly, the verification. That sounds fascinating to me as well. How is that going to work, and who are you going to work with?
So right now we're working with Oracle, and we've built it in the sandbox. So essentially what's going to happen is we're going to be able to validate to the employer that, hey, I just sent you $10,000 for you to make sure it goes to these nonprofits my employees are given to, and we're just going to track that and be able to verify to the employer that, hey, the money went where we said it's going to go. In a perfect world, we're going to be moving on the contractual basis, so the money has to go where we say it's going. That's why I say it's getting built, because we don't want it to be really a buzzword without some meat to it. So we're going that way because for us, the more transparent and the less that we can have anything to do with the money, the better, right? Because then the donor's like, heck yeah, my money's going where I can watch it. The company is saying I can watch it for my employees. And I believe the metrics show us that creates more engagement because there's that trust, right? You don't have to have those barriers.
Sure, a sense of verifiability helps.
Oh, absolutely.
In this space, because it's every donation is just like black.
Right.
hole, right.
Right, and so I'm trying to be very careful on the blockchain part because it's being built, and I don't want to sell it like it's just a buzzword. So we're working actively on it again. We hope to have it integrated in the next 3 months, so it's built again in the sandbox. So it is pretty cool, and it's way above my pay grade.
But
That's why we're looking for smart people.
But the devil is in the details there. Like,
Absolutely.
how does the charity verify that they got the money, et cetera, and how much money they got, yada yada. So
Yeah, I'm told that it's like the systems talk, and then there's a verifiable code on the bottom, and then you can backtrack into it.
okay.
Other than that, like my knowledge of it's very limited. I like it because it gives me the transparency, right?
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Great. Graham
Thank
Treacle
you.
with one donation.